Welcome back, guys. This is the third video of the tutorial series, and in this video we will be discussing about data types, type conversion and casting. So as you might have guessed, different types of data is data types, and if you are familiar with it very well, and if you are not, in programming, data type is a very important concept, and if you are at beginners level, most of the time is spent on data types only. It only consists of, majorly it consists of data types actually. So in the last video I told you that the variables can store values or data in them. Alright, that is stored in RAM, and here is an example that the variable x is storing the string. I told you about this, the group of characters in the last video, I guess, and it has a unique ID and a type. That you can see here, that class is string, the type of the variable is string. Alright, if I change it to a number, that is an integer in this case, so what will happen is the address and the type both are changed. Alright, this is because each of the addresses each of the values have different addresses, but the types can be similar. For example, this is the same address, right? You might remember this from the last video. I will discuss each of these with an example and try to make you understand that what each of them are. However, we will not be going in depth in this video because I just want to give an idea, the basic idea, that what these actually meant in the terminologies. Alright, so without any delay, let's move on. The first one is the text type, that is string, and I have given you plenty of examples before, and right now this is an example of string. The string is a accumulation of characters, and it is stored in double quotes like this. This is a string, and or and single quote. Alright, so this is an example of string that is alphabets, to be a collection of alphabet, if I have to say that in layman language, but these are called characters in programming language. You might know about this concept. The second one is integer. Integers are minus infinity to plus infinity. For example, -1 is an integer, so you can actually see here that it is an integer. Type of the -1 is an integer for Python language. You can put any of the numbers from between negative infinity to infinity. It will consider it as an integer only. As you can see, this is a large number and still it's an integer. It is larger than our address actually. So this is an example of integer. Alright, and the third one that is float. Float is mostly we use these in the language. Float is decimal values. Decimal values are these. For example, the fractional values, if I might say it, these are float values. So these are nothing but decimal values. You don't have to worry about what is happening if you're not getting, because this is the simplest I can give you an example, and these are the simplest examples I can actually give you right now. The fourth one I guess is complex. This is a numerical type. I am just looking at these and typing an example for each of them. So I think most of you would not be familiar with this one, I guess, even if you are working. So this is an Oh, I'm sorry. I was about to write 1J. This is a complex data type. We can discuss it in depth if you want. We can comment it out, but I think these are used rarely, so I won't be discussing these in depth, and they are hardly used. In 2 years, I think I have used this once or twice only. I don't know, maybe more, but yeah, not that frequently used. The third and the mostly used are the sequence types. These are very important data types: list, tuple, range. These are like bone marrow of data types, and we use them in like every example, I guess. These are stored as an indexed values. So let's take an example of lists. All right. So lists are comma separated values that are in square brackets here. These are square brackets. Please do notice these things because these are really important. These are stored in square brackets, and this is a type of list. All right, and let's move on to tuple. Tuples and lists are basically, if you look at them, are similar in some aspect, but one of the difference between both of them is mutability. I will discuss it in another video. In this video, we will be just taking the examples so that you know what is going on, what other different types of data types are there. All right. So this is nothing but an introduction to these. Range. Now, range is a type of automatic function. Range of 1, 2. 5 actually. Oh, I'm sorry. This is going to be a long video, I guess. So this is a range data type. In this, what is happening is we are actually iterating through 1 to 5. Please don't worry about the for loop right now. It is a kind of loop, and we will be discussing it in another video, in upcoming video actually. So I'm just trying to give an example that what range is used for. Oh, I'm sorry, print. So as you can see, the range value is iterating itself from 1 to 5. The last value is usually excluded. It has 3 parameters. As I told you, a function can have parameters. The first one here is the starting point. 1, 2, 3, and 5th one is the ending point, and it is excluded. This is a very important part, that the range function is going from 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is excluded. All right. The third parameter is very important, and it's called step. All right. This is start, this is stop, and this is step. So if I go ahead and mention this step, then it iterates like this. It goes from 1, then skips the second step, then third, then skips the fourth, then skip the second step, like this. These two values are stepped above the 1, then 3, then 5 is excluded. All right. So these 3 parameters are there in range, and we will discuss it further, but this is an example of it. So I have to remove this for now. Let's move on. So the next one in the list is dict type, and this is the most favorite of mine, and I use it very, very frequently. Values are mapped actually. What does the map thing means is here. Let's go ahead and make sure you understand this. So I'm actually making sure that so here what it means that a name has an is mapped with the value amino. I'm sorry, this is also a string. So this string is mapped to amino, this name of the user. I can separate the with commas, and I can actually map age with let's say 30. So what I'm doing is I'm actually creating a map or a dictionary. Alright, so whenever I type name, whenever we need this name of the user or variable X, and then it will give us amino, and if we take age, it will give us the output 30. We will not discuss this right now. We will be discussing its type only. So here it is, and I will make sure that it is clear in another video. The next one, I guess, is sets. So sets is kind of similar to list and tuples. Again, the difference will be discussed in another video. So this is a set. It has curly brackets, just like dictionary, but dictionary has these double columns. I forgot about that. What is this is called? This colon, and in sets that is not present. Alright, so this is a type of set. Now next one, this is I know this is a tiring video, and I'm just trying to give an example of each one of them. So next is frozen set. How to declare a frozen set is like this, I guess. I hope there is no issue here. So you can actually say that this is actually the video for declaration, or how can you actually declare those things. Alright, okay, this is an error. Okay, frozen is not this one. Frozen set, I'm sorry. Frozen set are similar to sets. They are just frozen, and this is the way you declare them. As you can say, this is a frozen set. And the next one is Boolean. This is really important. So x equals to, I guess, true. Boolean, I think you must have read them in your previous standards, and there are two types of Boolean values, that is true and false. True can also be denoted as 1. This can also be denoted as 1, and false is 0 in computer languages. So this is a Boolean type. The next one is bytes. Bytes is nothing but the values are just represented in bytes, so it's not a big deal. Let's say be hello. So this is a byte value for hello. Actually, it's rarely used, and if you want we can discuss it, but it would be very rare if we use it. Next is byte array, I guess. I think you must know each one of them. That would be the this is the byte array. It's actually representing the value of 5 in byte array. So the last one is, I guess, memory view. This covers all of them. This is actually a little drawing, I guess. At least you don't have to write all of them. I will be providing this video, so don't worry about that. Okay. So we are actually getting sorry, bytes. It says I always do. Like, this is the last one. Alright, so I have shown you every single one of them, how to declare them, and if you need any of them, you can go ahead and use this as an dictionary for yourself. I can say that. So moving on to the next topic. This was a long one and you can skip that part. So I just wanted to give you an example of each one of them. Now, type conversion. You can actually convert one type to another, like int to float to whatever, like string example, whatever you want. So let's go ahead and try to 1 plus 2 plus 3. So this is a quiz that what will be the result of this statement. There can be two, like it can repeat itself, 1 plus 2 plus 3, or it can provide the arithmetic operation summation of these three. So the result is 1 plus 2 plus 3. As you can see, this is a string, so it consider this as a string. We can't perform numerical or arithmetic operations on strings, right? So if we want to perform arithmetic operations, then we need to get these as integers. Now these are integers, they are not in double columns, so these make sense, right? The first one is strings and second one is. Now what happens when I do this? This is called type conversion. As you can see, this is 1. Let's take an example that is more clear to you. X equals to 1. This is an integer. Alright. Integer, right? So as you can see, it will give us an integer type. Now what if I want to convert it to float or a string? You can do so by using float constructor. This here is an constructor. If you don't know what constructors are, it makes literal sense out of this, that one, it is here and it will read it as a input for float only, that is decimal values. As you can see, this is a decimal value. Alright, you can also convert it to complex. As you can see, this is converted to complex numbers. This is the form of complex numbers. If you don't know what it is a complex number. So you can actually convert these are interconvertible. And the last thing is that you can't actually convert complex numbers into another number. For example, if I say that 1j has to be converted into float or int, let's say int, this will be an error. Why? Because complex numbers cannot be converted into another type of data type. Alright, so this is something that you must remember. And strings can be converted into any of the following, for example, int, float, or complex. However, it must contain meaningful data for all of these. For example, if I provide int to colon 22, now it makes sense that this is an integer value. However, this is not an integer value. This won't be able to convert, right? This is invalid literal for base 10. And yeah, one thing that is really important is it will convert it on the basis of base 10, as you can see. Alright, so this does not make sense. 2a is not an integer. This is something that you should take care of. Alright, so let's move on to the next topic, and the last one in this video. I know the video length has been really long. You can actually make it at 2x to watch it 2s as if you want. So what is casting? Sometimes we need to make sure that the input we get, or whatever the object is created, is of a specific data type. For example, if I want in this thing here, that this one or whatever the value between these two columns must be always be an integer, then I can use this int constructor. This is a constructor here. This int is a constructor that we are using, and all of the above examples are of constructors. Alright, I just told you that, and we use it to take inputs. For example, input of enter year. So year will be of an integer type, and the input takes the values as a string. If I have to give an example, let's make sure you are clear with input 2. So here, so this is actually a string, which means that I can't actually operate on this one. X plus 1, this is an integer, and this will give an error. I'm hoping so, actually. So if I put any value here, the second statement gives an error. Alright, so you can't add string in an integer, right? So what is happening is it's trying to concatenate actually string with an integer, and that is not possible. So if I need to operate on these values, I need int constructor to convert this statement into integer type. Alright, I think that makes sense to you right now. So I hope I have covered all the basic concepts of data types and data conversion also. I have showed you every single one of the data type and how to declare them. And this sums up the video, and thank you for your patience. Please like and share if this makes sense to you. If you are facing any issues, please comment.